very good day to you. Welcome to Herman Manyora's channel. My name is Jadil Chabero, ready for today's political conversation, a conversation that is truthful, simple, and I hope will be unbiased. Today I'm joined by Herman Manyora, sir. How are you doing?
Good, unbiased.
Good, unbiased.
Hard-hitting.
Hard-hitting.
But unbiased.
Okay. Today's political conversation, we're starting with what is happening with the education sector. Before we go to education, CS Magoha receiving tough criticism, exam leakages every time he's saying that no exams have been leaked. You spoke about this as an educationist. What is happening with our education?
Let's say a number of things, but quickly, just top of my head. The first one is that the education sector is in a state of mess. The state of education in this country is terrible, to say the least. About exams and leakage, I have said two things. Number one, looking at the numbers, looking at the magnitude of the exam, one can only commend the Kenya National Examination Council and the ministry under Magoha for what they are doing.
Oh.
It's not easy to manage an exam of this magnitude. So those isolated instances, in fact, are an indication, contrary to what people think, of how hard Magoha and NEC are working. Because we would be seeing terrible things. And the fact that they are able to nip them in the bud, to get them before the damage, shows also how hawk-eyed they are. And therefore, generally speaking, in terms of how successful the ministry and NEC are, one can only give them 99.99%.
Okay.
But, on the other hand, I am not a believer in exams. One of the things that ail our education system, and ultimately the kind of people we produce, is over-reliance on exams. If you ask me, we are just looking like useless people. We are even militarizing exams.
Oh.
Exams are supposed to be very simple things. In fact, if you want to improve education in this country, if you want to produce Kenyans who can think, who can solve problems in this country, you have to remove exams. In other words, make exams something you don't read for. The person who gets an A should go and do an exam, get an A, which also a person who is getting a C today also gets an A.
Oh.
So really, it's nothing. You don't even read for it. Everybody gets an A or a B. Then ask me, how then do we know who is who? Then universities and other institutes that want to admit students will have their own ways of assessing students. A person will know I cannot go to the University of Nairobi School of Engineering, Faculty of Engineering. Somebody will know I can't go to the School of Medicine or University of Nairobi, even if I have an A.
Oh.
Because when there you can't. So universities now will begin to teach also, to admit serious people, to assess them, and to teach, really teaching that it used to be in Makerere medicine, where many people used to be discontinued. To do electrical engineering at the University of Nairobi, many people collapse and leave the program. Ask anybody who has done.
Yeah.
So we need universities to operate like that, all faculties, so that you know, even if I'm an A, I cannot go medicine.
So national exams,
you go to be assessed for something else.
National exams scrapped.
In another university. Secondly, employers in this country just employ any rubbish, any dog that comes with a paper. So people are not even in the private sector. You don't assess somebody whether they can work. You look at a fleet of papers they have. Then we have added some more rubbish. Oh, KRA. What has taxes got to do with my ability? Oh, police clearance. That's not the work of
NHIF, NSSF.
NHG, what do you call CRB.
Yes.
If I have debts with somebody, how do they affect how I can work? Mwenye niko na deni yake, there are courts. Anipeleka kotini nilipe deni yake. How does this affect me being employed? So, once we remove education, we separate exams from education, people, na utaenda kutafuta kazi, na uko na certificate yako, degree, ama form 4, kuingia university ukose. Somebody else will go to look for a job with his degree. The employer is looking for what you can do, not your paper. You'll go back to school. Finally, people will know when you go to school, you go to get knowledge, not a certificate. So exams have made the country a place where everybody wants a certificate. It is so sad. Sometimes you look at somebody with a degree, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Arts, but the guy can't even tell you his name. Who are you? Where do you come from? You know, you can somebody, I'm Dr. So-and-so, PhD. My God, this guy can't even teach a Form 4 class and he's teaching at university. What his own subject. They say you teach Swahili at university and you have a PhD. And I take it to Alliance High School. You can't teach. There are many PhD holders in this university, in this country, teaching subjects at the university. They can't teach at Alliance, guys.
Right now
they cannot.
In our universities.
They cannot go to Lenan and teach. They will be chased out of class because they know nothing.
They have certificates, but...
Yeah, so we must move away from being a country of certificates. And there's no better beginning point than to put exams where they belong.
Oh. So you're
we
saying...
are giving premium to universities in a way that is spoiling education.
So you're saying Magoha is doing a good job,
A good
but
job,
for nothing.
But that leads to nothing. If you are to assess him in the success of supervising exam, managing exams, he scores 99.99%, 100%. But in terms of really, you can see how harassed he looks. It is like he's dealing with a matter of life and death. Police are all over. So you ask yourself, why are we militarizing exam? What is an exam? You and your paper, there's a difference.
Yeah.
I must see the you and not the paper you have. And some countries like Germany are like that, and many other countries in the world. And if you look at, I was doing some research for some organization, and I could see even in Europe, there's a very big percentage of people who are doing things that have nothing to do with what they learned in school. That you see?
Yeah.
So that conversion, that adaptability, that being able to be retrained and to adapt quickly to another job is a testimony of the learning you had. So that you are not being trained just to be one thing. You have the capacity to quickly change into something else.
Okay.
So that you have come from university, but you have received the kind of education that can make you an employer, not just seeking for a job. That is not going to happen so long as we over-rely on exams.
When you look at him,
he's
saying that these exams have been politicized. Right now, politicians from different sides are using these exams to show their prowess in changing narratives and tunes. How do politics and education intertwine?
It's always there, but you see, you must give credit to Matiang'i and Magoha. They have brought us from those days of ranking, where politicians worked with the principals to contribute money and buy exams so that their schools, their constituencies, their county, their districts will shine. So Magoha and Matiang'i have brought us from far. They have really assisted because they have gone in the direction I'm saying. Examination is not everything. Those rankings were bad. People were fighting for them. And teachers were going out of their way to do all manner of things, most of them evil things, to make sure their schools were well ranked. Their districts, their zones. So Magoha is right, there's a lot of politics. But the only way to make sure there's no politics is to put exams where they belong.
When you look at our presidential aspirants, because we're speaking about this education thing, who do you say has the right agenda for education, or is education even part of their kind of manifesto that they're going to put into place? Because right now it's all about economy. Should we speak about education too?
You see, you cannot speak of economy without education. Education is the driver of everything. Unless you have a knowledge-based economy, your economy is just a Mtumba economy of borders, of nduthis, of wheelbarrows.
Okay, you're hitting on Ruto.
No, I'm saying even Raila.
If you say wheelbarrows.
Where is knowledge? None of them has tried to convince me knowledge is at the center of what they are saying. Knowledge. Who has talked about research? How much are they setting aside for research? They are just talking. Bottoms up people, they call them Kenya Kwanza. They are talking, they'll do away with the CBE.
Yes, CBC.
CBC. The idea is they don't even understand what CBC is. They just want to say something to irritate Uhuru Kenyatta. Because this is Uhuru's baby. Yes. I don't support it. But I can come up with facts. They have not said anything to show why they say they will replace CBC. They haven't.
Because parents are complaining on CBC.
We are already deep into it. We are now class 6, right?
Yes.
And a lot of expenses, a lot of changes. To try to reverse this will cost dearly. So they must have told us what CBC is about. And what is that thing about CBC Kenya Kwanza doesn't seem to like? And what do they want to go to? Is it the old system, the 844? What is it? They are just throwing words. You say these are useless people. I'm telling you. Just throwing words. All these politicians, none of them can, if I ask, even the Azimio people, do you like the Kenyan education system?
844 CBC.
Point at the problem facing and what you can do about education in this country. This education is producing certificate holders. It's producing robots, robotic people who can't think. What can you do? First of all, do they know that's happening? What are the main issues facing education in this country and which you need to address around access and quality?
But do you think it would sell if a politician goes to campaigns and says,
No,
this is what we are doing?
No, I'm saying that you cannot say that on a campaign platform.
Yeah.
But politicians have manifestos and have blueprints, which really is not a campaign rally issue. A manifesto is not a campaign rally issue. Raila looks very bad when he's trying to talk about those things. You don't.
Social welfare program.
You don't. But there must be an audience you address, a critical audience. And these are the people who are likely to interrogate your manifesto, your blueprint. What platform are you campaigning on? You must also address them. And still, you can talk about these things, even in a public rally. Well distilled for the public. You can talk about education without the details that Manyora would want to see. For the public in the rally, you can. Depends on your communication team.
Okay, when you look at the president right now in this CBC, would you say he has done a good job trying to make this competency-based curriculum, which he has said has been done in different countries and should work in Kenya?
You know, I don't want to say anything bad about the president in this campaign, but the only thing I can say is CBC is a big joke. It's a big joke.
Are you together with the parents who are complaining about it?
It is a big joke. I'm not just another person. I'm an educationist. Then there's a big joke. Yeah.
What reforms then? Just removing the exams, is that the reforms that you want to see?
You begin there. Then you ask yourself, issues of access. Issues of quality. What kind of education do you want to give our children? How can they access education? Why is education so expensive in this country? You begin there, matters of access. So you ask yourself, do we need boarding schools? Nothing makes education more expensive than boarding schools. Is the boarding school a universal phenomenon? No. Why do we have boarding schools? We link it to the colonial people, the missionaries, who thought if you want to educate Jadel, you remove him from his drunkard father, engaged in circumcision, in drinking, in all manner of rituals, umweka mahali ingine ndio asome, kwa sababu nyumbani ni noma, vitu vya Kiafrika, vya mila mbaya, tabia mbaya, ushirikina. Are we still there? Can I stay with my children at home as they go to school? Okay?
Yeah.
So you remove the boarding school because it's very expensive, and immediately the little money you have, it will now be used very effectively to improve the quality of education. Now you have things like even uniform. There are many things we do that make education costly. And then finally, you need to train teachers well, pay them well. You see what I'm saying about?
Yes.
And then you are about to ask yourself, what is it we should be teaching our children? Now we have the environment. Okay. Schools are no longer boarding. They are all day. They are good. They are clean. Teachers are well paid. What do we need to teach children? What is the aim of what? If you are learning in school, primary, what is it you need to know? How do we teach it? How do we ensure you know what you have been taught? That's now assessment and certification. Then everything just begins to fall in place. Yeah.
So the education system, as of now, both CBC, 844 for you,
they are really bad.
We need reforms.
Africa is not producing people who have gone to school. And it's deliberate.
Deliberate?
It's deliberate. It's deliberate.
Holding the narrative Western influence, is that what you're going to say?
Because, let me tell you, the West is as strong and as rich as the third world is poor and ignorant. The moment through education, for example, third world countries, because look here, Africa has the most youthful population, the fastest growing population, most youthful. And now education is penetrating across Africa and creating a powerful middle class. If this middle class, if these educated Africans had real education, the West will be in trouble. They are only enjoying life because we are suppressed from a knowledge point of view. The Chinese have a field day in Africa because Africans cannot question what is going on. The educated people are busy pursuing jobs from the same Chinese with their fake certificates. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's in the interest of the way to ensure Africa does not have a meaningful education for continued suppression and exploitation and oppression. Because the moment Africa wakes up, the West will go to sleep.
And all this starts with the leadership we have.
Correct.
Then we do have this conversation again. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Gerald Cabrera. That's been a conversation on education and politics. They intertwine, they intermingle. The leader you have will influence the education we get in this country. Until we do have these conversations again, have yourself a lovely rest of your day.